Good evening. This is the Newbury Zoning Board meeting. Today is Thursday, May 18th, 7:30. My name is Mario Carnevale. I will be the acting chair this evening. Present tonight is Jack Kelly, Michelle Wadler, Chrissy Dupay, Associate ZBA Administrator, Martha Taylor from the Planning Board, and Larry Murphy. Tonight's agenda is Ellen Daly, 6 Olga Way, Plum Island. The applicant is requesting a special permit finding for relief from section 97 4D 5C02 upward extension of the Newbury zoning bylaws and any other permit relief as may be required under the town of Newbury zoning bylaws to allow the proposed use project in order to raise the existing non-conforming single-family dwelling and to construct a new single-family dwelling on pilings with an increase in height on the property located at 6 Olga Way, Plum Island, Newbury, Mass. And this evening we have
Matt Steinell from Millennium Engineering. Thank you for having me tonight. The application before you is from Ellen Daly, who is the owner and has owned the property for approximately 16 years at 6 Olga Way. It is a single-family residential home with 1 bedroom on what I'm generously calling a cinder block foundation, which is actually held up by old car axles and other things that have been used over the years to jack it up. They contracted the services of Luna Design to do an architectural addition to the building that ended up not working out. We sent them back to the drawing board and they came up with a new plan to tear down and rebuild that structure to bring it into compliance with zoning. It'll be put on a steel pile foundation above flood elevation. And this project has already gone through conservation, and according to the Conservation Commission's approval, the appeal period actually ended today at 5 o'clock. So we are through that process, and that's been approved now. The project before you can see on the left is the existing conditions. This is the home that sits there today. There is like a little pencil line sketch on top of that of how it relates to the new building, but the new building is actually shown on the right-hand side and shaded so you can see it independently as well as just a quick overlay on the existing building, how it falls in relationship. The front of the building is going to front on Olga Way. All of the existing nonconformities that exist are the frontage and area. Those are unchanged. All the zoning setbacks as far as height, front, side, and rear setbacks are all conforming currently, and the new building will conform with those as well. So we're seeking no variances or no relief as it relates to any dimensional setbacks or any other section of the bylaw, with the exception of the vertical extension of the structure being raised up higher than the current structure. We list the current building as being approximately 20 feet or less in height, with the new building being at 25.31, I believe is the exact number on the table there. It's pretty straightforward. We're right there at the limit of the floor area ratio, but it's a very small lot, so really any normal size homeowner there is going to quickly get to that maximum floor area ratio. We also conform with the lot area calculation, and all of that should be provided in the packet that was submitted. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Again, there's a profile of the architectural view on the right there that shows the heights and all the associated elevations related to the structure.
You guys want to take a couple minutes to look at it? Any questions or concerns?
Yeah, I looked at it before we came to, and actually at this time don't have any questions.
I do too. I didn't have to look at it all.
I mean, it's a thorough
Yeah.
presentation, which is great to see all of them.
No parking underneath this one? But
That's
it's
correct.
like a 4-footer or something, or 3 feet it looks like above?
That's correct. We're not elevating it any higher than we need to for access and for the flood requirements. So all parking which currently exists in the gravel driveway will remain in that same gravel driveway.
So
we're not expanding it or anything.
That's staying the same? Okay.
And the roof deck, right, that's just an observation deck it's called, looks like it's just a roof hatch up there.
I don't think there's any roof hatch shown. We've got the deck here.
In the architectural drawings, they have an observation deck.
Well, they neglected to show that in the architectural view on the side here. It looks like a standard roof there, or maybe it's one off to the side, opposite side of the house. I don't know.
Yeah, I think in that elevation it's not shown.
Right, if you look at the front of the rear elevation, it's sort of symmetrical, and then the deck is in between, there are two peak areas, and
It kind of sits in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So the
so.
front view is like a, yeah, okay. So it's strictly for observation and entertainment. There's no stairs coming off of that there, so the interior access would be the only way to get onto the deck.
That was a good question about the roof hatch, because if there's a stairway or something, it would extend even higher above, and that's not shown here.
Like a doghouse or,
Exactly, yeah.
right, yeah.
Had many discussions over those doghouses.
Yeah, I know. But, and so, remind me, sorry, but the observation square footage though does not need to be counted, correct?
it's all
Into the-
exterior.
Yeah.
No roof over.
No roof on it.
Yeah.
One thing I couldn't find, do we have details on the siding? I mean, is it congruent with the New England style that the rest of the neighborhood has?
Let's see, standing seam metal roof,
Like those.
I know. On the elevation. I think they call any materials out in the elevations.
Jack, is there something specific that,
No, I just wanted to make sure it was, not neon orange.
blends in with the neighborhood?
Yeah, that's all I was asking.
Yeah, I mean, there's not many neighbors really on this, it's a small street, direct neighbors. It looks like there were still some small houses around, but some had also been built.
Across the street from a town pumping station or something? What's across the
Correct.
street?
Yeah.
Is that a town pumping
Doesn't
station?
know that,
Yeah, town pumping station is actually kind of behind.
I did, okay, yeah.
Right, so we got Oldway comes down and turns into Weber, it's on the opposite side of Weber.
Okay, right. There's a lot of open space back there.
Yeah,
There's actually a large kind of yard here that I believe is owned by the town.
Yeah.
But they've kind of maintained and use it as kind of an extension of their yard because it's got no other real function other than it's part of the right of way where the road comes through. I know they've got, I think, a wooden walkway that sits on the ground that travels out this way here, and conservation's having them cut that back, and so that way it stays on their property, but currently that's kind of their pathway to walk out that way there.
Well, I would open it up for public comment, but I don't think there is anyone here. Christie, I'd ask you though, did we receive notification from the ad or
Nothing received, nothing oral or written.
butters, no?
Nothing from abutters. It ran twice in the newspaper on May 3rd and May 10th. And I received all the abutter notification cards from Matt this morning.
Great.
And just to report to the board, when we went through the process with conservation, there was no abutter comments or anything through that process as well, so we had no input from the public whatsoever.
All right, thanks.
Were there any other comments from the conservation besides the boardwalk that you mentioned?
They had a concern on the back of the property here. We had proposed a buried propane tank, and they questioned first whether it was allowed. I explained to them that it was, that not only it wasn't allowed, but they themselves approved them for me recently, and we've constructed them recently. They looked into it a little bit further, and regardless of whether or not they were approved previously, at least in this particular instance, they felt that it was altering the dune and not appropriate, so their approval is conditional upon us putting any liquid propane tanks above ground, not below ground. In this case, that was their only real concern.
I think I can close the meeting for public comment. Thoughts, concerns, questions?
I think we might have a project here. I think it's an improvement.
Yeah, it is. I saw the place today. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move to, wait, what do we have to do first, Martha? I did this backwards last time.
I think he's on track, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've got a couple of options here. If you feel like there's absolutely no more testimony that you need or anything like that, you could make a motion to close the hearing and instruct, or ask staff to draft a decision. If you
Okay.
feel like there's anything else.
So close the hearing
we
first
need.
and then, okay.
Yeah, or continue it, if you feel there's any need to do that.
Yeah, I don't think we need to continue it.
So in that case, I make a motion to close the meeting,
The hearing.
the hearing, excuse me, not the hearing.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I think we need a motion to
Issue.
issue a special permit. Is that
Right.
correct?
I'll go again because I got this one.
You're on a roll, Jeff.
Yeah, I make a motion to, that the board issue a special permit approving this project.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Looks like we're good to go.
Excellent, thank you.
So then the decision has to be drafted.
Drafted, so we'll have a decision drafted,
Yep, I'll do that next week.
okay? And then we will be able to sign it at some point.
Yeah, I think
Review it first.
review it, discuss it. One thing you haven't discussed is whether you want to impose any conditions.
I don't think we have any conditions, do you?
No, but do we do that next week, next month?
Well, if they were to actually review and sign it, I guess there'd be two options. One would be to do that at your regular meeting next month, or if you wanted to meet ahead of time to review it when it's ready. It's not a hearing, so you don't have to continue that to a time date certain.
Want to do it for next meeting?
Next week?
Yeah,
We
next
can
meeting's
we
fine.
can read the
That's
draft
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then approve it, sign it?
Would we do the conditions now, though? Or
So
we should-
if there are
or
any
there's
conditions that you're
conditions?
thinking of, I would suggest discussing those now, so then they can be incorporated into the draft decision.
When we do well, usually we have the Title V, but that's not the case here. If there's no Title V, you're out
On sewer,
yeah.
Right? There was no landscaping buffer or vegetation issues, because there's not much there right now.
And conservation's handling that on their end, so.
Mhm. I can put in the standard conditions
Yeah.
for height.
Side setbacks,
Okay.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
I think we're good.
So for the next hearing, where it's more administrative, we would not necessarily need to attend. That would just be an administrative thing where it's if the draft decisions meet your expectations, then they're just signed and issued.
Right, the hearing's actually closed at this point, so you can't provide any further testimony.
Yeah, that's what I figured,
Anyway,
so I don't see any reason for me to come, I mean, other than just to hang out, but
Right.
I love doing, but there's no reason for me to charge the client to come to another meeting, so I'll let them know that everything looks good,
Yeah.
that they should be getting their decision sometime shortly after the next meeting.
Yes.
I'll email you at the end of next week when it's drafted. So if you wanted to supply any comments.
Actually, you can't.
I can't do that, I'm sorry.
Right, he-
Okay.
He can't provide any comments
Oh,
since
yeah.
it's closed.
Okay,
It's closed, right?
sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
on a roll this week.
Okay, I got this one now.
You're getting good at this, yeah.
I make a motion that we close this meeting of the zoning board of appeals for the town of Greenfield.
Second,
Aye.
all in favor?
That's all right.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's closed.